Sales is nothing but compelling and telling people memorable stories. Sales is going to people's doorstep and telling them to buy your product. Sales is nothing but making sure that people are aware that you exist in the market. Let me tell you something, guys. This is not how sales work. We are way ahead of time and we are way further when it comes to sales in this present generation. Trend has changed. And I am going to tell you this one company which uses amazing strategy. I would call it a brilliant one just because they changed the revolutionary market when it came to sales. I'm Varsha Renukumar and welcome to the Freedom Business English channel. Do not forget to subscribe and download our Freedom app. Going back to the time where actually salesmen and sales started was an entire different era. So this entire culture of sales and salesmen became popular in United States. And over the time, this entire thing actually changed because people were going to doorstep and asking them to buy their product. And we all knew that traditional methods, I'm very sure all of you guys would have also faced it. And there was a very simple strategy that they used. They used to just land up at your doorstep, tell you guys about their particular product and why they are selling this and what is the use for you. Because only reason we wouldn't like it is because we would be indulging in our own work. There were so many things that we wouldn't know and we'll be busy. The mindset of each and every person would differ when they used to come. Because you never could analyze what was the state of mind when it came to sales and why would the customer reject your products. And this changed because of this particular company. They brought in an amazing strategy which changed everyone's thinking about sales. Now this doesn't happen. If you're seeing the present time, we can actually observe that there are very less people who come near your doorstep and tell you to buy the product. That trend changed because of this one new idea that came into the market that everyone wanted to copy. Talking about this particular company when it comes to sales, this company had an effective sales strategy that changed their conversion level of revenue and income. Their future was completely changed because their ideologies were implemented by these salesmen. Everyone would hate it when salesmen knocked on their doors, but when these people came, people were actually accepting it. This company was Amway. We all know that Amway was the company which used to sell the dishwashers and liquids that could cleanse the house. So what was this one secret that Amway used that changed the perspective of sales? And what is that one thing that everyone started liking when it came to Amway sales? I'm going to actually give you a comparison. What did that normal sales do and what did Amway do that gave them $1 million turnover? Okay, so the story goes in such a way. When it came to normal sales, the salesman would just come, knock on our doors and then say so-and-so product and they would give a huge explanation. Half of us would have been busy in our work and half of us wouldn't even bother listening what he or she is trying to communicate with us. Because we would either be in some mood, we would be in a busy schedule, and especially when it came to homemakers, they were the ones who were always the ones who used to face these salesmen. They would have had a stressful day working over and over at the home, or it would be the time of their relaxation. You never know what it was. But when these salesmen would just randomly show up at their doorstep and call them, they had no choice but to go out and listen to their nagging. They would just go on and pester them about buying their particular product. They would just say why it's made, why the so-and-so customer has to buy it, and what are the uses of it. Why would a customer listen to you in the first place? Why would they even bother thinking of buying that product just because you're giving them an entire explanation? And they actually did not do this nagging, boring method. They used another different method. They made sure that their salesmen just go to each and every house doorstep, knock, and when the client or the customer comes out, they would just give a sample of products. What Amway did was the idea of consistency. They use this consistency ideas to make sure that customers are always aware that Amway is the best product. They did not go pester them or talk or nag about their entire product. Amway just came to the doorstep, knocked on the door and called their customers and told them they had a sample of merchandise. That merchandise particularly had small samples of detergent or some liquid dishwashers or cleansers, floor cleansers and all of these. They just gave them this merchandise and told them that we're just going to hand over the different type of dishwashers or different type of home cleansers that we have for you and we'll just give it to you, and this was for free, by the way. They just handed over the merchandise to the customers and told that I'll be back in another week. If you like this product, you can give me your honest review. And this was one of the greatest things that they did. They just handed over the entire thing to the customers and left. Starting off, who wouldn't like the free products? Yeah, they did accept it and they used it. After an entire week, the salesman would show up to their doorstep and ask them about the product and what is their personal choice. And that is when the customers told that they like so and so product, and they could understand which customer likes what product and what is the main purpose that they have to sell. And once they had their particular choice of product in the sample that they had given, they used to ask the customers that did you like this product, and once they said yes, they would actually give that particular product to them in a discount rate. So when this happened, customers would for sure be convinced that this is the product for them, because Amway is very famous for its fragrance. That fragrance which attracted everyone towards the product was one of the secrets. But when they actually started using and liking this product, this is what turned the entire sales for them. When it comes to the detailed understanding of entire story is that we can start off by 4 main things. The way of convincing the customers. When we compare it to the normal sales way and the Amway product, it was entirely different. Normal sales actually did their old boring job by nagging and telling the entire thing about their product. What was annoying here is that the customer would have been annoyed by them going on and on, though they said that they wouldn't buy the product. Their entire set of mind, the track of the way you're trying to gain their attention is gone. Nobody will look at your product until and unless it's useful for them. And nobody will bother even listening when you go on and on. So this was one thing that the normal sales did. But when it came to the Amway sales way, this was entirely different. They never went and nagged about their product or told them how their product works. They just went, knocked on the doorstep, told that we have a merchandise of samples and we are going to give them to you and you can use it and tell us a review after 1 week. And that's done. That was the entire thing. Sometimes, as the saying goes, you don't have to speak for yourself until and unless your work does. Your work is going to speak for yourself. So when your work is the one speaking for you, why do you have to explain? Just give them the sample and they're going to understand. This was the main logic that the Amway used. They made sure that they're giving the product and they're telling the customers to use it, and they will be getting back to them in a week, and then the salesman can understand which product the customers buy. Next one is the emotional understanding. When it came to this particular difference, when it came to the normal sales, people would just randomly go and knock on the door without even thinking what the person is going through. We all remember the time when they used to just come randomly at your doorstep and knock, and then they're selling so and so product and you have to buy it. Understanding the emotional level of some person is one of the most important things. You might have a certain target to reach, but randomly just going nagging about your product without even understanding whether the person is interested or not might be one of the biggest disadvantages. But when I tell you that emotional level is too important, they used to not even focus if the person is irritated or they're into the personal space or if they're actually annoying them during their stress times. Because when you go on and on about your product, nobody wants to listen to you. Nobody is interested to buy because they have their own issues. Even though sometimes people would just burst on you by telling that just get out, they would first thing each and every person back then used to wonder is that why is he or she near my doorstep? And why are they even talking to me about this product? And they would just say, no, I don't want it. No. And that's what Amway did not do. They understood the emotional stress of people, they understood the emotional levels of people, and they made sure that they don't take too much of their time. They just went, gave their products, understood, made their point clear, made them understand what they're providing, and then left. This was one of the smart things that they could ever do. By giving someone their space is the best thing you can do because they are going to respect it the same way. When you don't do that, nobody will even bother listening or considering your product in their mind. They would think as your product as some annoying, irritating thing. So that is one of the things that Amway did not do. Next one is getting to know the personal choice of the customer. When you actually happen to go and do it in the normal way, you just happen to go and sell your product. By reaching your target, probably you would get paid good. Probably few of them would have just bought your product because people just kept nagging about it. Some people would have just bought your product to see if it was working right. But every time that wasn't the case. Everyone will not be interested in your product. But thinking about if you can actually achieve your target by just selling a product wasn't the actual solution. They would just go and sell their product and then make sure that so-and-so number is reached and the target is reached and I can just get back to work. That wasn't the way it works. The customers who are buying their product is actually interested in buying it, or they are just buying it because so-and-so person just happened to sell it. So this was one of the differences that they got to know. Amway people, once they told that they'll be returning after a week, they made sure that they returned to that place. So when these Amway people gave them the samples, they used it. They used it, and once they returned back after a week, they told their personal choice, and when they asked them that what do you like the most, they gave their options of what they like the most. their liquid choices were actually good and they would actually take the product, the actual product, and give it to them in a discount price, because once they've used the product and they've liked it, people would definitely buy it. Samples were the greatest thing to start, and Amway actually did that. And when they got to know the collective response of these customers, they understood that who are their customers who will buy their product and who are the customers who don't. Because this was easy to analyze when they gave them the sample, and people would actually happily accept these products. Understanding the side of the customers and getting to know how many of them are your targeted customers was one of the greatest things that Amway did. They determined this by their own strategy. Next one is the honest review. This was one of the best things that they could do, because in the normal sales, if you ask about the honest review, half of them would have just yelled because they wouldn't even think of buying your product. But when it came to Amway, they had their honest review because they gave time and they understood their customer and asked them their honest opinion about the product and why was that useful. And later, they developed products depending on these reviews. So these are one of the 4 things that you can determine by these strategies, and you can also implement when it comes to your sales. Probably now the tradition is not about going and selling people, it's the way you convince. Sales is always something that you have to convince people why they should buy a product, but not know why is your product existing in the market. So get the difference, and once you know the difference, you can actually be one of the winners in this market. Provide people with accurate information about why they should buy your product. And I will make sure that I keep pitching in more and more ideas like this. So if you found this video very helpful, do not forget to like, share and subscribe, and download our Freedom app, which can also provide you with more information. Thank you so much.